asking me about the best saving tips. You know, I made a decision, I think when I was 21. I was like, you know what? My 20s are about living, like feeling.
What is your birth name and your job title?
So my name is Mahapa. That's all my given names. And I'm a creative producer and a writer.
How do you self-identify and what are your preferred pronouns?
Actually, very interesting. I never, every time like on Facebook when they ask you your gender, I'm just like, why are you in my business? But I am a proud Black woman. That's who I is.
Describe the environment in which you grew up.
Cool. I was born in Polokwane in 1990, October the 5th. I'm the second and last born to my parents, who had me at like 40 and 39. So I was a miracle child. They actually told my mother they will never have another child after she had my brother. So then lo and behold, hence the name Mahlonola, which means blessing and Betty. And growing up, I was surrounded by love. My parents, no, they're amazing. Like, the world gave me the parents I deserved. I don't think I would have made it without the parents that I have today. One of my favorite memories with my dad was like Sundays, because you'd come back on Saturday mornings, we'd go shopping, grocery shopping. It was a him and I moment, but then, sometimes mom and brother like ruin it and they want to come too. But Sundays was our days, and he'd like take me to like Milky Lane, and I sit on the chair and I spin around and order this amazing ice cream. So all the memories with my parents are just beautiful.
What was your first job?
So my first job, I was actually a field manager for promotions. I think it was for Lesoko and Miller. Yes, while still in varsity.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
So growing up, I knew when I was 10 years old that I wanted to be a filmmaker and a writer, and I knew that I wanted to write books. But everything around me said, girl, you gotta be in economics, So I wanted to be an economist. That's what I wanted to be. And then, thankful I'm not. It's amazing.
Describe briefly your career journey.
So I'm a creative producer and a writer. Basically, I wake up every day to live in the realm of make-believe. And how I got here is that I followed my dream, I followed my passion, and I went to film school. And then I started out as an editor, then from a script coordinator, then to an assistant creative producer, then to creative producer, then to a creative director, and to a writer. But I guess I've always been writing, so yeah.
If authenticity is such a big draw, why are there so many people not capitalizing on their individuality?
I think the world is set up in a way that people who are different, people who are the outliers, the people that color outside of the lines, are seen as the risk takers. And that life of coloring outside of the lines is very difficult because there's no straight path of how you can achieve your final goal. It's a lot of trial and error. So to be authentic means to believe in yourself in a world where everybody's trying to be the same. So the hardest thing about coloring outside of the lines is believing that, you are doing the right thing. And I guess beyond authenticity, it's also when you arrive at the place and you've planted the fruits and this is the time of harvest, is also not succumbing to the imposter syndrome, feeling like you shouldn't be here, somebody else should be there, or somewhere, sometime or another, somebody's gonna come and say you're a fraud. So being authentic and believing in your voice is really kind of closing your ears and shutting out all the banter around you and being so focused and knowing that you're following the path that you should. And it's the most rewarding thing, I think, in the world.
How do you respond to people referring to you being the first or there being a first? Is it a distraction or an important indicator of how far we've come?
I think there was a time and a place, and I think there still is, for the first to be celebrated. it means that it speaks something to somebody who's going through the same journey. I remember after watching the first film I ever watched was directed by a woman, Nancy Myers, but the first film directed by a Black woman that I watched was Love and Basketball, directed by Gina Prince by the Wood. And that to me said that I could also be that person. So it was just like, what? And it wasn't a first for her in her career, but it was the first time I had come across such an individual. So that kind of instilled in me a view that, you know, we shouldn't invalidate celebrating the first Black female pilot, the first fighter, Black female, or the first male, or the first Black. Though those titles are important, but beyond that, we should have the conversation of what happens beyond shattering those glass ceilings. So I think when you are the first, and it is the burden as well, is that you have to be the person who kind of puts the brick so that more people can come in. You have to be the person at the boardroom who says there aren't enough chairs, and you have to fight for people to sit across from you at the table, because you know what it feels like to be outside, to be banging on the walls and nobody's listening.
What has been the steepest learning curve?
So the steepest learning curve for me has been to believe my words. It sounds, I don't know if it sounds abstract, but when you're a writer, the hardest thing to do is put words onto a piece of paper and they sound like they've been abducted and forced to live together on a page. And writers write, but sometimes you have to look at a blank page until your forehead bleeds. And that forehead bleeding means that you have to put words onto a page and you have to believe in them. So the hardest learning curve for me was to believe the words I've put on a page, to not read. Obviously you have to read things and work at them, but to the point of fear of letting them go and letting others read them. So I would write scripts, I would write poems, I would just write for the sake of writing, and I was afraid of them leaving my safe space, you know, the person that understood their context, and giving them to someone else that read them. It felt like, you know, they'd be like, oh my gosh, they're horrible. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Stop it, turn back, go study economics, go do insurance, do something else. Where people don't question the words, it's just like it's the numbers. Because when you're an accountant, if the balance sheet doesn't balance, it's the numbers. It's not an indication of the person behind the numbers, you know, it's a number of things. But if you write and then your writing project doesn't work, it questions your ability to write. So learning to trust my voice and learning to trust the words that I put on a page, I think, yeah, that has been the hardest learning curve. And yeah, I'm finally on the other side. Like now I write, like 10,000 people can read it. Everyone can give their criticism line by line. I'm just like, okay, let's step back. We're in a professional environment. It's constructive criticism. Everybody's working towards one goal, to make something a success.
What in your career are you doing to keep the door open for those who come after you?
I'm very intentional about the people that I work with. It's always essentially like Black, and then female, and male, and queer. Like very like I don't believe in speaking for others. Let's pass the mic. Amplify the voices, so bring as many people that you need into a project to make sure that the nuances don't get lost in translation. So that's very important to me. So beyond being intentional is that I also kind of vouch for people. I'll be like, listen, I've worked with them on this particular show. I know that they'd be great in that new environment, even though they haven't tried it, because I know their aptitude and I know they could do it. So there are a few examples along the way. For the SAFTAs, the writer of the SAFTAs had never written a live to air broadcast script. So I was like, yeah, she can write a script. Because I'd also never creative directed the SAFTAs before. So I'm like, if you're willing to take the risk on me being a creative director, please also allow me the room to bring in amazing young Black voices that can do the same thing.
Best money tips you've ever received?
So you're asking me about the best saving tips. You know, I made a decision, I think when I was 21. I was like, you know what? My 20s are about living, like feeling. So I've just been living my 20s. And yeah, like, I mean, I save a bit and I chow it a bit. You know, just keep it moving. But yeah, I think you're looking for a more mature answer. But yeah, am I overly in debt? No, I don't like debt. So I think, you know, it works. I think it works beautifully. So yeah, it complements each other. So I'm not like a big money spender, but I'm also not acquiring debt. But I'm also not a big saver. So like, yeah, man, the combos are communicating.
What are your daily rituals that remind you or bring you closer to your truest self?
So I do this thing with my friends on Sundays called Self-Care Sundays. And that's really about collecting the scattered pieces of our hearts over the week and kind of building ourselves back together again. We live by the mantra by Audre Lorde that says, self-care is not self-preservation. Self-care is a self-indulgence, and that is an act of political warfare, which basically means that you can't go out into the world with an empty cup. You have to refill yourself. You can't wage political warfare or whatever war you want to wage without your cup being full and running over. So I'm very intentional about the people that I surround myself with, about the energies that I allow into my space, and then using Sunday as a day to gather all those scattered pieces to ensure that Monday I am revived, rejuvenated, ready to take on the world. And that's a cycle. That's a cycle that has been keeping me together.
Describe your safe landing spaces. Who are you going to call at 2 a.m. to help you bury a body?
So my safe landing spaces, I've got a nice group of friends who I think could help me bury a body. I think there might be one like who might sweat under pressure though. Definitely younger. Like I feel like I can't bury a body with younger. Because my friend is so genuine. It'd just be like, no, just we can't do this. But not that we've ever buried anybody's. But yeah, so who would I call at 2 a.m.? I'd definitely call my cousin Klaas. I'd call Trevor. I'd call Rich. I'll call Sivu. I'll call Bradley. Actually, you know what? Bradley is the one who will help me wrap the body. And then, yeah, no, I'd call every one of them, and then I think I'd tell Younger like after I'm like my friend, there's something, and then I'd be like, ish, but you gotta keep it together. Yeah, because we're the same. We're like, yeah, emotional beings, so we don't handle stress. So.
In your life, what are you most proud of?
In life, I'm mostly proud that I'm living my life without limitation. I'm living the life that I want to live, and that is so liberating, especially knowing our history, knowing knowing our journeys as Black women. That I live in a world where I'm like, I can party real hard, can go to work, can be an academic, can be a great friend, can be a great sister, a great aunt. I can pick up my bags tomorrow and leave, and that makes me happy. Like I'm bad at commitment because it feels like you're being not held hostage, but it feels like you're being limited. So I really love starting over, reinventing myself. I love going to new spaces. So living my life and being able to do all of that and still be myself, there's no greater feeling in the world. And I know that I'm responsible for my own happiness, and that makes me very happy. So, yeah.
If heaven exists, if you believe, what would you like to hear God say when you reach the pearly gates?
I'm atheist. I don't know what I want God to say.
What is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word? Yes.
What is your favorite word?
Dodo.
What is your least favorite word?
Dark beauty. Like, yes. Like, why? Or what? Like, can we just stop there? Why must now we color the shades of the beauty?
If you could live anywhere else on the continent, where would you live?
Yo, that's a difficult one because I want to live everywhere. I want to live in Nigeria. I want to live in Kenya. I want to go live in Prague again. But home, Johannesburg is everything. So I don't know. It's a difficult one.
What is your favorite sound?
Being happy with my thoughts. Like if my brain is quiet and then like it's still and I'm at peace. That's my favorite sound. Because it means I'm not stressing, I'm not overthinking.
What is your least favorite sound?
Racist talking, actually. Yarra. Like, yeah.
When did you know that you could make films?
The first time I actually knew that I could make a film was when I shot my first film in film school. It was a 2-minute film. And yeah, we had to shoot in 2 hours, one character. And then I had to edit it myself and shoot it and direct it and produce it. And I was like, Batu, give me a
What are you going to do when we get the land back?
What am I gonna do? It's a difficult one. You know what? Let me give the mature and the less mature answer. The less mature answer is that I'm definitely calling my people. Like, let's bring sound, as grooveni. Like, let's be happy. Let's like, you know, spooze, it's nandi. Like, you know, remember who we are. That, you know, we're happy people. But the more serious question is like, let's sit back and let's do something that is a legacy project. What can we do to unwrite a little bit of history? So do we need to build a school? Do we need to build a hospital, a clinic? Yeah, like what do we need to do?
Hi, my name is Adama Sango and I am a video producer. So the item that I brought today is this necklace. This is a Ndebele necklace. The reason why I brought this item is because, well, I'm Ndebele, but I grew up in KZN with the Zulu side of my family. So I never really got a chance to experience any kind of Ndebele culture or anything. I went to one thing, like Amasogana with my cousin when he came back from the mountain, but that was like the first and last ever Ndebele anything that I ever attended. But then my dad surprised me with this and some other Ndebele attire, and I was so emotional and so happy about it because first of all, he's not the surprise kind of guy, and second of all, we never do anything Ndebele, which is his side of the family. So I really appreciated that he kind of gave us all this stuff and introduced us a little bit more to our culture. And this is so special to me because I really want to learn more about the Ndebele culture. I think it's so beautiful and there's so few Ndebele, so I really want to be a part of the squad that keeps the culture alive and is very aware of what all of this means, why the lions need to face down, why we wear the chokers and the different things and all their names. And I really feel like I missed out on being able to learn that growing up in KZN. But I think as I grow, I have the opportunity to teach myself and also just go on a journey of exploring my own culture. So this is like the beginning. So this is why I brought this prop or item, and that's why it's so meaningful to me.
Hi guys, my name is NWABISA and I am a marketing strategist and the superstar, kidding, of pop culture. So the prop that I brought today is a photo of my grandmother and grandfather on their wedding day. This is literally one of the most iconic photos that our family owns. That's what I thoroughly believe. I've been in many of our family homes and none compare to this iconic photo. I obviously wouldn't remember the day because I wasn't there and or born, but this is the second photo. Sorry, just trying to like, you know. Second photo, this is basically the bridal squad, family, everybody, my grandmothers, so my grandfather's siblings and things like that. And like, the reason I brought this today is because I think whenever I think about my grandparents and I think about this photo, it's like a frozen moment of the most beautiful love that I can ever imagine. These two individuals obviously have been a very imperative part in my upbringing. And by that I mean the lessons that they gave to my parents. That is my mom, her sisters, my uncles, my aunts, like as in the extended family. And my grandmother, you know, family was always important to her, and bringing in extra family into the home, teaching them lessons, and all of that type of stuff. And I think this photo for me just becomes almost like this frozen moment of where I can just, I don't know why I see a selflessness in this photo, love. And it's weird because the last memories I have of my grandmother aren't the most beautiful memories, because she was sick when I can like remember her. And so yeah, it's just always so beautiful to see her in her most beautiful self, like when she was fresh and young and a spring chicken. My grandfather still looks like this, is the thing. That's the gag. And he's in his 90s. So, yeah, so I love, and I'm very sentimental when it comes to photography and images. I'm a hoarder of photos. I have like over 27,000 on my phone from like 2016 till now. All types of photos, from memes to personal to events to everything. So for me, like, my family have always loved photography and like taking photos and capturing moments and keeping them in photo albums. I'm always the first person to go rummage in the garages and things looking for our photo albums and being the person that takes pictures of the pictures. I've always just loved seeing moments in time, seeing the way my mom and my grandfather and my grandmother and my aunts and uncles used to dress back in the day. And actually just being very mad at my aunt because she never kept her clothes. And my aunt was like the fashionista of the family. This is my mom's older sister. Her body was cinched and snatched, and the girl was slaying the guys and the girls. And like, I'm always just like, girl, I could be slaying the peeps with your closet, but okay. Yeah, so I brought this because it brings up just so many beautiful, heartwarming memories that I don't necessarily have, obviously, of this time, but like of how much love my family continue to have, and have instilled in me. So yeah, I really, really love this photo. Like I'm hoping that because my aunt actually has it, the aunt I live with now in Johannesburg, she has it framed in her office. And I actually made a prayer book for my mom using this image for her 60th birthday. So yeah, so I don't know, man. I just love this photo. So yeah, and that's me and my prop.
Guys, I am THEMBE MAHLABA, and I am a content manager for a PR agency. The piece I have today is kind of a dress I cut up into half that used to be my grand's apparently, and then I got it from Uma. The piece means so much to me because I feel like so I feel like a part of me is always like trying to find her in things that I do. Either it's like cooking or it's like, I don't know, things my mom used to say about her. And so like anytime I want to feel like closer to her and Uma, I always try and I either wear this dress cleaning, cooking on a Sunday. Like it brings me so much closer to them and like the woman sisterhoodness of childrenhood, grandchildrenhood of it all. Like I genuinely love, like I steal clothes from my mom all the time because I feel like I always want to feel like embodied or like surrounded by her and like the ancestors essentially. So like I love this piece, yeah.